Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to Rangers Radio.
Yes, hello and good evening and welcome to Rangers Radio. Tonight you're joined by the young team tonight. And first off, it's young Robert. How are we doing, Robert?
Evening, GB. Evening, JIM. Good to be back with us, boys. Aye, big weekend there, mate. And again, a big game tomorrow, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah, I like that. We'll come to that. And yes, we've been joined by JIM as well tonight. How are we doing, JIM?
Evening, guys. Good to be back with yourselves. Been a little while. Yeah, just about recovered. From Sunday. And like Robert said, looking forward to hopefully another big game tomorrow.
Yes, I heard you had a couple of share bits at the weekend there, JM. So I'm glad you had a good time, mate. And like I says, we'll dive into it. But first of all, I want to. There was a press conference today, and the manager did touch again on the weekend. So we'll speak to nicely to Fox and see if Fox can line up the manager's interview for us. So we'll hear from the manager first, and then we'll get your thoughts on the game of the weekend, boys. All right? Sound good?
Yep, sounds like a plan.
Yep.
Right, okay, so we're going to hear the first part for our manager about the weekend. Here is our manager, Philip Commode.
How do you reflect on the game on Sunday now?
What I said after the game. So, I'm luckily a positive person, but I had in the past some managers who had sometimes nightmares before a game about bad scenarios. I don't think you can have a nightmare like that, to be after 22 seconds behind in an old firm in that way. So that's the biggest blow you can get as a player, as a fan also, in that way, because you're excited about the game and you want to start good. And you get a goal against with a lot of bad luck also, because this ball can go 100 times in the stands instead of going in goal also. So that's a big blow, and my team had needed some time to recover from that. Of course, as an opponent, when you come in an away game and you can start like that, you get a boost. That's also natural, and that's what happened in that game. So I was not happy about this first half. Although we could have scored also 2 goals, we had a good clear chance on a header with Connor. We had a chance with Fabio 2 times in the same action. So we could have scored also our goals, but our play was not as good, and we gave away 2 other chances, not more. One time of Maeda and one time the header of O'Reilly, and the penalty is also extremely unlucky in that way. So you go in half-time with a really bad situation, and then you need to switch your mind and to restart again. And that's what I talked about in halftime also. What I was disappointed about and how we had to do it better. What my guys did and what the players did. And in the second half we played a really good game. And we were boss and we were the best team. And we were creating the chances. And then you have this scenario that you come back 2-2 and directly you get the 2-3. What's another knock? But we react again. We never give up. And that's for me the big satisfaction after this game. So to get so many knocks in an unlucky way also, because if you speak about the goal we get against after 22 seconds, it's really unlucky also that this ball goes in the goal. And the penalty situation is also unlucky to get the ball on your arm, because you jump and you want to put it back, but it's on your elbow. But those are the rules now. So I said also after the game. In the other way also unlucky, we score a really good goal. And the referee or the VR goes back 10 seconds or something. What's also not always the case, but okay, I said also after the game, I accept. VR make this decision, I accept. So there were a lot of unlucky situations. If then in an old firm you can come back in the last minutes and score like that, and you see your team all second half pushing that hard and creating good opportunities against a good team, where I have a lot of respect for, then after the game you need to be satisfied and happy. And even, okay, I hear the day later, and maybe it's good for you guys to check, but somebody told me it was from 1987, so that's a long time ago. I only have 2 players in my squad who were born that day, or maybe just born. The first time that a team come back after being 0-2 behind in an old firm, or 2-0 behind. So that means my players did something really good in the second half. In the first half, we should have done a lot of things better. We talked about that in halftime and yesterday. But I think getting a goal like that creates also a sort of negative effect. And you see with a lot of teams in the world, the most important thing is that we could switch afterwards.
What does that say about the character of your team, going into this run and letting them do that?
There's a big evolution, because these are the same players that a few months ago could never do that. So they've taken a lot of good lessons, and this needs to be in that way a reference game for the rest of their career. If it's here in the Rangers or in another team, this is the mentality you need to be a top player. And it's not an easy thing. Otherwise it would not have been from 1987 that this has happened.
Well said by our manager again. Come to yourself first, Robert. Game of the weekend. I was also on the show and that, and I kind of gave my views at the time. So I'll probably just let you and JM give your thoughts on it, because again, it was just a mental game, Robert. Thoughts in the first half first, mate?
The first half really surprised me, to be honest, mate, the way we approached it. And I know it's easy to say the goal after 22 seconds probably does influence it, but we just did not recover until the second half. Obviously, they get the penalty in about 35th minute, so to go 2-0 down at home, you're scratching your head and you're a bit shell-shocked of what is going on. And I don't know, again, that the first goal just seemed to knock us for sixes, that we didn't know how to recover. The pass wasn't as fluid as we've seen. The press wasn't there. It just seemed like a very sense of nerves crept in as soon as that first goal went in. And as you said, it is a fluke goal, and it's got to be dealt with better. And I know it's a fluke, but it needs to be dealt with better. And there's 2 persons that can do that, and that's Goldson and Tavernier for me. And it's not the first time that we've mentioned them in a game of this magnitude. But the first half was just, I couldn't believe the way it went, to be honest, mate.
Fair play, mate. JM, you were there, mate. You probably just didn't even get a chance to sit down before the first goal went in, and it's just a shocker. If we just isolate the first goal first, I just don't know what they were doing. It seemed to have been that even Tav, everybody's seen Tav switched off, but the full team switched off. It was crazy. Your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, it's hard, and you don't want to be. You got to be fair to analyse the thing, and obviously we watched it, and that's the whole part of the show about remembering a race. But I think my best way, the first half was an embarrassment, to be honest. It showed a lot of the faults that we've had previous seasons, and maybe some at the start of the season. Obviously, it's not a great start. We can't reset. Just completely caught sleeping. You don't know what's happened. It would have been touched on previously. We know that bloke runs all day. You can't switch off and let him run in. That was embarrassing. And then we just didn't settle for the rest of the half. Didn't play to conditions. Trying to play out when the wind's like that, we couldn't get ourselves up the pitch. And yeah, there wasn't much good. Robert said we weren't pressing high. I think there's a fundamental thing where we're trying to cover a real lack of pace throughout the spine of the team. And when we're coming in, coming up against teams where there's a level playing field, and that all comes into it. I think we're being found wanting on occasion, sort of in and out of possession. So no, I think my overall film would be it was embarrassing and a disappointing first half.
Robert, I think with the first half, what annoyed me more was that wasn't the 2 goals. I mean, like I say, you can say very lucky with the first one because it ricochets and goes in, and the second one, the penalty. Like I says, I don't know what Golson's meant to do. It's just the rules of the game. If it was their side, then I'd be screaming for it and all. But it's something, again, I hope, like FIFA and that, look at with that ruling, because I don't know what else you're meant to do. If you're jumping up and you've got 2 arms and you're trying to tuck them in, I don't know how much more you can do, especially when a ball ricochets off somebody and goes into your direction. I don't know how you're meant to get out the road of that. But apart from that, like I says, Butland had a couple of great saves. Butland sometimes caused a wee bit of anxiety as well when Kyogo was bearing down on him. A couple of times when they were playing out for the back and stuff like that, he just looked so nervy. And I think that's what probably shell-shocked a lot of the fans, was that how much respect we gave them in the first half.
Far too much respect. And we can count ourselves fortunate that it was only 2 at half-time, because as you say, there was moments where back passes to Butland were almost right in the goal line, and then he's had to make 2 or 3 saves as well. So we can count ourselves very fortunate that it was only 2 at half time and we were able to claw it back the way we did. But again, it's the application. The application to the game. The hype was there, the build up was there, the confidence was there, but it just seemed to be non-existent on the park. And again, as much as you can see the first goal causes that more, if that goal doesn't go in, you could just sense there was a sense of nervousness amongst the players, and it's the first we've probably seen it for a while under Clement with them, that they didn't kind of believe in themselves almost, that they knew that if they slipped up, that could have been it. And that seemed to creep in more than the belief of let's go and cement a real stake here and put them to the sword, because they're not a great side. And as you said, in the first half, we gave them that respect that they were better, and they weren't, and they're not.
Jaya, half time, you're there in the stadium, the folk round about you, did they think there was a way back into this game, or did they think it was going to be a kind of Beale or a Geo exploit, that it was just going to probably see you at the game and a possible Celtic win?
I've got to be honest, I don't think many people used to get, no one saw a way back, because we couldn't, I mean, until the end, until the sort of, obviously Golson missed a sitter, and then the silver chance, but we didn't look like threatening, did we? We weren't creating anything, they were mainly on top. We were passing the ball sometimes, not even to them, and to no one at times, into the middle of the pitch. It's you don't want to go over the top, but it was really, really bad, and I couldn't see how in 15 minutes that was going to change. Obviously, maybe taking raw emotions out of it. If you looked at it, the conditions were going to play a factor, because, going up the way we were attacking the first half, massively into wind and hard to get out, and it came to fruition in the second half that they would struggle to get out as well. But with the amount of players playing as poorly as they were, I found it hard to see how we're going to get back into it. But thankfully, they proved a lot of people wrong.
Robert, my hope was that it was I would have snatched their hand off for a draw at the half time for us just to get back in the game and just get away from there with a draw and just put it down to a bad performance. But every cloud has a silver lining. Manager makes a change, a brilliant change. The way it worked out was he took right off for Sima, and what a difference on that right hand side the second half.
Massive difference, mate. And let's be fair, the most times you've seen Seaman as well, it's been on the left. So seeing him on that right position was a bit of a new thing for us. And the first thing you seen when he got the ball was to drive forward at Greg Taylor. And he was in behind every time. And I know he's just come back from injury, but you could see there was a freshness about him as well. He was keen to impress and let the manager know that he's there for selection for these running, and we're going to need him. He had 15 goals. He obviously gets his goal later on in the second half, but just that's one simple change completely changes the dynamic of how we approach the game. We were comfortable on the ball, more confident in actually bring the ball forward as well, and we seem to use Sima quite a lot in the attacks going forward. It's good to have him back.
Yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. JM, probably jumping backwards a wee bit here, but when you seen the team selection on the day, were you surprised about Wright starting on that right-hand side?
I was disappointed, but not surprised. I think it was more by default, wasn't it? And to be honest, if you're being honest, in the games beforehand, he had definitely by no means been the worst, and he had applied himself pretty well. But I think everybody knowing, we've seen how. I don't want to go jumping too far. We've got the rest of the season to go, but we've seen how soft maybe he can be at times, and how poor he can be. And I think people could see it coming. Definitely, people going to the ground could see it coming when it came out. Some way people were saying, "God, Wright's playing," and it was inevitable, wasn't it? It was going to happen. By the way, maybe it's from not being involved. I don't think he was the worst in the first half, but that shows what a manager's the manager. And I'm sitting and watching. You don't let emotions get in the way, because he wasn't my first on the list for being whipped. But maybe it was through he couldn't do much wrong because he wasn't getting involved more than he wasn't doing anything wrong.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, again, I would imagine you sitting in the stadium, you've seen a total change as soon as Seema came on there in the second half. How much, as Robert says, took a chance putting Seema out in the right, because it's not something we've really seen him play in. But yeah, it just shows you a good player can play anywhere there. Yeah,
just seeing an adult with a pair of what actually play, a professional football player just trying to play. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's quick. Let's try and take someone on, and let's not be scared and just passing it the way we're facing and hiding basically. No, it was refreshing to see, wasn't it? And you realise quickly just how much we've missed that, especially playing against more equal opponents where you don't get as much. You need to show something. So no, definitely right away there was a big change as soon as he came on the pitch, wasn't there?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Robert, we eventually get our just rewards with a beautiful Rangers penalty. Those lovely words that we like to hear. Thoughts on the penalty, because again that's caused a lot of controversy and debate. But my God, I don't know what you need to do. Do you constantly have to snap a player in half to justify a penalty these days?
When was the last time that we got a penalty that there was not a dispute or anger about it? A foul in the box is a penalty. Now, as much as Silva may have been flinging himself onto the floor the rest of the game, if you get kicked in the knee and the opposition is not in control of the ball and you're not in control of the ball, it's a penalty. So it's clear as cut. I don't know what the whole arguing and debating is actually about, because if it happens anywhere else, which it did, let's be fair, for the Dessers goal, it's a foul. So, end of the story, it's a Stonewall pen. If it's the other way about, there's no complaints, let me tell you.
I think with Silva is, I wasn't surprised that the initial decision for the referee was that he booked him for diving and stuff like that, because of the way he'd been acting in the game. Something I hope the manager can kind of talk to him about, because it was parts of it's not the Rangers way for me. But anyway,
embarrassing.
Aye. No, what I says, I know that sometimes the game's physical, but see that one, like I says, I think it was it Johnson in the face and all that. He's rolling about and flipping back and forth. He don't do that, because your Scottish refs don't tolerate it. I mean, they don't care about it, and that inevitably, there you go. That it probably gives Beaton a decision in that box. He probably says, "Oh well, you've dived, didn't you?" But thankfully, we had VAR, and they showed the perfect angle here, and it's a guy kicking him right in the knee. You know what I mean? So it's a blatant penalty. And again, our captain steps up and puts it away and probably redeems himself a wee bit.
Yeah, no, thankfully there was enough contact to make it, because right away everyone was saying around as well, unless it's obviously the rule's clear and obvious, isn't it? So there has to have been some contact there, like proper contact. Otherwise, they might have said, "Oh, if there was maybe not enough for him to do that," and that comes from the way he was throwing himself around. It was embarrassing. Obviously, at the game you don't get to see the replay, so you always wonder if he's been caught and rolling around. But once he rolls around for the third or fourth time, you realise he's play acting a bit, if you know what I mean. So that was refreshing to see. At least VAR got it. And then the skipper stepped up, and he definitely needed to do that, didn't he? Because it was the worst I'd seen him play in a long, long time in the first half. I'm a big fan of Tav, and sometimes thinks he gets a lot of unnecessary stick. But any stick he got for that first half performance was definitely due. Not sure if this has been covered all that on the show yesterday. I didn't get to listen to anything. But when was the last time we were actually given a penalty live? And not by when were we given a penalty before.
Not by default.
Not by the fact that someone's nearly ripped a shirt off or, like you say, cacked someone down and the ref hasn't given it. I don't remember the last time the ref actually pointed to the spot.
We've always had the, like you say, either VAR or it's again. It's always been. It's always
been afterwards, hasn't it? VAR, VAR, having a look at it, which you just maybe implies how the game's being ref, but everything's going for us apparently. Isn't it?
But that seems to be that one seems to be a thing since. Remember that we had that run where it was. In fact, it was Beaton that kind of cancelled it out that eventually gives a penalty against us. That seemed to all kind of kick in then, that we kind of got scrutinised more and more since that point on. I know we always do get scrutinised, but it seems to be, like you say, is more so now for some reason, JM. But so we get the goal, we get back in about it. Again, still dominating. Celtic had a couple of kind of breakaways and stuff like that. We seemed to deal with it a lot better, Robert. And then, like I says, straight after that, about 40 seconds, Dessers goes up and snatches one, and you think, that's us, we're on our way to a victory today.
If there's ever a momentum swing in football, it was that 2-3 minute period. When you first watch it, you could probably see, I don't know if JM from where he was sitting, if he thought it was a foul, just obviously in a live shot, but
right away, to be honest, I was shocked that it wasn't given.
Yeah,
it looked a foul from Lawrence right away. It did. I must admit, live it looked a foul. I was surprised it wasn't given.
When I was watching it, JM and GB, it was the fact he didn't give it right away as a foul. I thought there must have been some sort of contact on the ball, because there's some distance travelled in 15 seconds as well between the actual foul and then the ball being in the net. So when he didn't give it, I thought that it did get a touch on the ball, and it was just the camera angle wasn't great. But unfortunately, VAR wasn't helping us out in this one.
Hi, Robert. I think, do you know what was unfair about it? It was that, again, the referee's standing there, right? So he's, like you say, he's got a clear view in it. So he allows play to continue, right? But then obviously when VAR kicks in, they look back at it and they look at the different angles, and then it looks like a foul. But it's this phase of play thing for me, Robert, that I don't understand, because like Celtic had a couple of touches again during that phase of play, and then we snatched the goal. You know, it's not as if we've just ran out of the park and battered in the back of the net. It falls to Dessers for him to nip it away, and this is what you've got to end up doing. You've got to end up taking away like good goals like that, if you know what I mean. I don't know how to better put it, but you know, like they kind of goals you snatch out of nothing. That's where they're going to end up wasting the game, and it's much like the Goldson kind of decision as well, that there's nothing Goldson can do about it, but the rules are the rules. So this phase of play, again, it needs to be looked at, I think, for me, Robert.
You're in danger of re-refereeing the game, and that's exactly what that kind of situation was. The fact that it was a lengthy kind of period in time of the tackle and the goal, and how far up the park Silver actually had to travel the ball. Celtic could have won that ball back, they could have regrouped, and as I said, they had touches in the box. So I think that the definition of the VAR getting checked, as the goal getting checked, is it a foul in the immediate build up to an attack or a goal? Well, yes, it's an immediate build up to the attack, but it's certainly not immediate in terms of a goal when it's 15 seconds later. Where does the line stop? It becoming immediate, and it's went too long.
Mm-hmm. Jim, that's what I'm saying. Like Celtic had I would say 2 or 3 chances to clear that attack for us away, and they didn't. And then eventually it fell to Dessers. So that's what I'm saying. It's again another thing that I just can't get my head around with this kind of phase of play thing that they can. I mean, what do you do? Do you go all the way back to the very last tackle in that phase of play? I mean, you could have a guy maybe tackling a guy up in the other end of the park, and you're calling off a goal. It's a bit mental for me, JM.
Yeah, it seems a bit too open to interpretation, doesn't it? The actual phase of play rule. I don't know exactly how it works, to be honest. The only thing I will say I think with all that, I think it's the right call, wasn't it? I think it was a foul. So you just hope that they've interpreted. Mm-hmm. You just hope that they've, because I don't know if they have or not, but you just hope that it's been interpreted correctly, don't you? That say, I don't know if it's timed or the phases, because if not, that's an error and unfair and unfortunate, because you shouldn't get it wrong. But if it's been interpreted correctly in regards to either if it's timed or if they don't count it as phases because it's still technically an attack and it's not been cleared, I don't know, then unfortunately I think I might have to say fair enough on that one. But I wasn't shouting at when Beaton got sent to look at the VAR at the time. That's for sure.
I bet you weren't. Well, maybe our listeners can clear it up for us. So why not give us a call tonight? Let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show. It's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Yep, that's it. It's your show. Give us a phone. Anything you're not happy about, even if you're, putting on the socials, then come in and tell us about it. We'd love to debate stuff that you want to improve, either in the team or even on the show. So by all means, give us a phone. Robert, so after that, the kind of win gets taken out of ourselves a wee bit because, like you say, momentum. I think if that goal was allowed, we were just going to go on and I would say maybe even grab another 2 out of that game, the way Celtic were just kind of collapsing a wee bit. But it gave them a wee bit of air to breathe again, I suppose, after that decision. But ultimately, again, as we touched on with Sima, he pops up with it was a deflection, but again, he was going for a goal.
As a deflection, mate, but he's in the right place at the right time, and it's not an easy ball to control as well, coming down that kind of angle, low to the ground, that he's caught it on the volley quite sweet. And yeah, it takes a deflection and it goes in and it can go anywhere. But again, he's in that position. It shows the attacking threat. You think of the player he replaced, Scott Wright. Would he have been in there? Probably not. So it just shows you the difference of quality that you're bringing on off the bench in a game like that. And again, it was 5 minutes from time. You thought there's still goals in this game, or at least a goal or a winner. That's the way I felt. There was still a goal, and as you said, ascendancy seemed to be with us. And then 30 seconds later, almost, you're scratching your head again. It was a bizarre couple of moments.
Jim, the substitutions helped with Seamer's goal as well. Matondo and Cantwell involved in that build-up. I think they contributed really well when they came on the park, and they him to Lawrence, but I didn't think it was his best game. Silva was involved, but probably involved too much for the wrong reasons. It's good that you're getting substitutes coming on and making an impact into the game.
Yeah, they couldn't have done any worse, could they? I think all the ones that got taken off previously, but then not at the end of beef. Obviously, I thought Dowell came on, and to be honest, apart from one really scary pass across the goal, which to be fair, we were trying to force it near the end, and he felt like he had to. Maybe was the only one that was kind of near me. It wasn't really on, but he tried it. Apart from that, I thought Dowell looked really composed and looked comfortable coming back. But all the subs done well and were far better than the players they replaced. And no, fair play to them, because we'll go on to Matondo's goal as well. But that was some nice football, and they all done bits. Don't get me wrong. After the disallowed goal until the equaliser, there still wasn't much created, was there? I think we're still lacking a bit, but we were definitely on top of them and in their half, but without creating too many clear chances. And but no, fair play to the subs. They all came on and applied themselves well.
Yeah, probing. I think the word was we're still probing away. Robert, you touched on it with the wind getting taken out ourselves again with them going up the park. Jim touched on Dowell. Dowell did look good on the ball, but where I was disappointed with him is that he allowed that. Is it Bernardo or it is Bernardo or something like that for Celtic. Allowed him to just have a free run right up the park to pass it in for their striker, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Chase him back, put pressure on him, and not make that pass. I think Dowell must have thought that the defence was going to take care of it, and I just couldn't understand it. And it was, again, another soft goal where multiple players were probably at fault for it.
Yeah, it was a soft goal, as you say, and there was opportunities to prevent it. And Dowell being the first one, as you say, fresh legs on, you're looking for him to be pressing hard, winning the ball back in that area of the park that he was brought on to do. And going forward, again, I agree with Jamie, looked quite good. He was keen to get on the ball, drive forward. but you've also got to be doing your defensive work, especially if you're playing as a midfield 2 against a 3, against 2 players that have just come on as well before you around at the same time. So it's fresh legs against fresh legs, and you've got to be seen to have that desire to get back and win the ball. When he doesn't, though, the defence has got to deal with it as well for me. The boy manages to get onto his right foot, and he's got Suit and Sterling in front of him. So I don't know how he's managed to work at the space that quickly when they 2 big, strong lads are there, let's be fair. And obviously gets the shot. It's under Butland. Should they save it? I don't know. I think it's just one of the ones where it's too close to his feet to get his feet sorted out. And it's too close to his feet to get his body adjusted to get his hands down. So before it goes to Butland, there's areas where it could have been won, and it didn't, and that was a disappointment again, as you say, especially having the wind and the tails up with us that last 5 minutes to go, plus stoppage time, getting it back to 2-2.
Aye, it was a kind of sucker punch, Robert. I got to admit, once that went in, I thought that was it, done and dusted. I thought we'd run a race a wee bit. JM, you sitting in the stadium, and imagine, like I says, the singing was continuing, and lo and behold, the man, the myth, Rabbit Matondo, pulls it out of the bag. And I was so pleased because the way the Celtic players celebrated their third goal was as if they won the title. And like I says, for us to go up the park and eventually, like I says, Big Rabbit just pulling that out of the bag. I mean, see, every time you watch the replay, it, like, as much as I think folk have said about that Yang letting Matondo have a free shot, I don't know. I think he still had a lot today, JM, to curl that ball into that top corner.
I mean, 9 times out of 10, people don't score. I mean, how many times do people get shots? It was just an incredible goal. Well, I mean, when I say that, he'd done it the week before, didn't he? Maybe not as glamorous with how it went in the net, but Matondo said it's something he'd been working on, and fair play to him. The bloke's been producing numbers, isn't he? He's only coming off the bench a few times, scoring goals, and it's funny for somebody that we're potentially trying to move on in the summer. If he has a sort of running like that, his numbers and stats, we'll struggle to keep hold of him if he keeps doing that. Because he's pacey, he's quick, and if people seeing that are going to go, we'll fancy a look at him. He can obviously do something.
Aye, mate, 100%. Yep, we've been joined by caller. Tam, are you there, mate?
I'm here. All right, good evening to all the boys, all the troops. No, it was just, I don't know if anybody else picked up. I think our mistake started at the selection. We had a big guy who is dominating the midfield and helping Lundstrom, Big Sterling. I think I'd have put him in the midfield, put Bolligan on at the back, the left back, and took it right off. Right? Because he was an empty shirt. He was a total empty shirt, and we would have controlled that game. We'd have controlled the midfield the way we should have, and which we will do when we go to Peterdo, travel, whatever you want to call it, when we meet him up there.
Mm-hmm. Right. I'll take your point to JM kind of touched on it, but I'll take your point to Robert on that one. Team selection, Robert, you want to expand on it a bit?
Certainly a few eyebrows raised. For me, not surprised with Scott Wright, but given that what was on the bench, I reckon you could have maybe made a change there. The other one for me was Lawrence starting over Cantwell. I kind of thought it would be a game where Cantwell could have thrived under being that flair player and being the kind of spark between the midfield and the attack. I get what Tam's saying about having Sterling in there, but the past few games, it was Diomande and Lundstrom in the middle, and they were doing absolutely fine. There was no kind of real issues. At times, Diomande looked leggy, but he'd also had 2 goals in his pocket. He'd been kind of playing well. Seemed to have a partnership with Lundstrom. So, as much as you say Sterling was doing the job in midfield, he hadn't prior to this game of late, and he also had an injury as well. And if you don't play him at left back, you're possibly looking at Barisic or Balogun. But again, it's 2 guys who haven't played a lot of football in recent weeks.
I still have with Big Balogun at the left back. Big Balogun has proved a point. He can play anywhere in that back four. And he's solid. And he wouldn't let anybody bully him. So I'm not saying Big Sterling did. Big Sterling did a good game in my eyes. Right? In that position, he just proved that he can play that position too. It's another string to his bow. But what I'm saying is, if you're going against a team like that, you've got runners against you, right? You've got runners against you. Ballingham's the man to put in it and let Stirling in the middle of the park do his thing. Big Stirling would have fed any forward and helped Big Lundstrom. He's proved that point. I'm not one to slag any player in your team, because I think anybody that joins your team should be good enough to wear a jersey and prove the point. He deserves to wear a jersey. But the boy Wright's not got it. He'll look good in another team, not in yours. I think he's still got the Aberdeen attitude in his head, and he's more detrimental to us than he is for us, if you know what I mean.
Aye, no, Tam, I'll take it to JM. Scott Wright, he's always one that gets a chance, and don't get me wrong, cup finals and semi-finals and stuff like that, it seems to pop up with a goal, but ultimately when you look at the stats for Scott Wright, his contributions, it's no great, and as we touched on, when Big Seema got papped on that right-hand side, if only he could have lasted the 90 minutes, I think it would have been a total different game on that right-hand side for us. Yeah,
100%. Also, by the way, I agree with Tam. By the way, I wanted Sterling in the middle of the pitch before the game. I thought he was good at left back. What's his name? Kuhn never got a kick, and they would argue that he'd done his job. But when you're playing against a team as equal as that, you need your pace and your power in the middle. And I would have rather taken a gamble on Balogun or Barisic to get Sterling in the middle, because I think that was where we lacked. Scott Wright, I think Tam's spot on. To be honest, he's not a Rangers player. He was potential. We took a gamble on him, a bloke that was quick, clearly got some technical ability, is showing flashes, but whether it's bravery or attitude or I don't know, whatever it is, he can't apply it consistently enough, can he? He's always shown flashes, but you compare the time on the pitch he's had compared to Matondo in the last few games, and Matondo still manages to come up with goals and get involved. And Scott Wright can't at the end of the day. He doesn't get involved enough. So, yeah, I hope he does it till the end of the season, but if we're looking to next, maybe it's time to move on for both.
Tam, that right-hand side has been an area of our team that's not been fixed even since Gerrard days. We've never been able to find a guy that can actually take that position and own it. You mean, I know we've had injuries and stuff like that, but hopefully, to be honest, like we touched on earlier, was that Seema coming on that right-hand side, he might be able to do a job for us for the remainder of the season on that position, because they have young McLaughlin, boy tries his heart out and stuff like that, but the difference between even him and Seema is night and day.
Oh, aye, definitely. Our right back, we had a player to cover there, and we Selton, young boy, and all you had to do was slot him in the right back and put Tavernier up one, and you'd have some team.
Aye, Robert, that has been a bit of a debate in previous years, and even this time round with Stirling. Folk have said put Stirling in at right back and push Tav up, but I just don't think Tav's maybe got the legs now to cope with that kind of demand.
Well, it's proven in the past that if you've got the head, the knowledge, you don't need the pace. If you control the ball, then you control the game. You feed it to the players that run.
Aye, mate, aye. I'll take it around the boys. Robert, on you come in, mate.
A few years ago, you could have probably got away with putting Tav up one and having a right back, whether it had been a Nathan Patterson, as Tam says, or a Sterling this season. You could have maybe got away with that if it was Tav 2-3 years ago. But I think, as you said, his legs just doesn't have the right winger in him. We know he's got the ability to put a good ball in now and again. When it's a dead ball or a ball on the move, whatever, he can get a ball in and he gets his assist from that. But the first thing he does wrong, the first thing we're all going to call out for is a natural right winger. And we've got one in Seema. Although we've seen him on the left, he can play on the right. We've got Matondo, who I think could also play on the right because he's naturally right-footed, but he does seem to like to cut in from the left. And we've also we brought Cortez in. He got an unfortunate injury, but again, these are players that have been brought into the left side of the park predominantly, and we've not replaced that right side, in my opinion, since Daniel Candias, and that's how far you're going back. And he covered Tavernier as well. So you're now asking your right winger and whoever's playing right centre mid, whether it be Lundstrom or Diomande, to cover Tavernier, they can't all do the one job, or that job and their own. So we need a natural right winger who's going to have a partnership the way Candice and Tavernier did back then. Whether that Tavernier's part of that going forward will yet to be seen, but we can't take away what he's done, Tavernier, but he's not a right winger, and that's what it comes down to. We want a natural right winger. Pace, power, energy, and Tav isn't going to get that as he's older he gets.
JM, that right side, why do you think it's not been a position that we have probably spent some money on? Why do you think that's always been the side that we've kind of just left as is? Do you think it's just because we've had pillars in there that we think we can just do a job for us, or and we've needed to probably strengthen elsewhere? Or is it just like I says that we're just trying, testing as the years go on kind of thing?
We maybe lots of tried and failed. If you think about it, Jordan Jones, Brandon Barker, and not when I say tried and failed, maybe Aribo was out there quite a lot, but he got moved about a lot to fill of injuries. Arfield could play out there in Europe. I'm going to be missing some, but we've had loads of players signed to potentially play there, even young prospects, like even someone like Jack Hasty. And play, when you're going back into the Gerrard era, and like when Cadiz was there, and I know Murphy was on the left, but he took an injury, didn't he, early into Gerrard's reign, and did like different things for the next year. And then like we've never on the plastic, we've never got any luck there. I think it's not been for trying, and I think with Tav being younger when it was, you could do a different tactic and almost play like an inverted player there and allow Tav to get up and down. But I'll tell you one thing, watching Saturday, Tav, I was maybe excusing it due to the amount of fixtures we play with Tav at the start of the season, maybe last season, but obviously getting a bit older, he's definitely not got the same legs that he had. That's telling that. So we need to do something to sort that out.
Tam, come the summer, do you think it's an area that the manager you'll probably look at more closely, or do you think that's...
Trust me, Clemens, he's got his eye on 3 players, and it's like 2 back and 1 in the middle.
So, no right winger then?
No. That'll be covered. That'll be covered with your Sterling, your Seaman. That'll be covered.
He's
bringing in 3 players who's going to complement. See the players we've got? I'm talking about the young ones. And I think you can say to likes of Goldson and Tavernier. I hate to see it, Tavernier going, because we'll not miss him till he's gone. What a contribution he's gave to your club, you cannot deny. And they will be sorely missed.
I'll take that. In fact, I'll take the Tav point on to Robert Tav. Like I think you just said there that he's not got the legs anymore. I was disappointed for him in Sunday, Robert, because I want him to turn up in a game like that and go and grab the title. You know what I mean? If there's anybody I want another title to have is Tav, because again, as Tam's touched on there, with his contribution to the team, his longevity, it being at Rangers and stuff like that. Like, I wanted him to go and have a performance on Sunday. I wanted us to go and grasp that opportunity, go and hopefully grab the 5 points clear by the end of this week and stuff like that. I just felt that I couldn't believe, like I said, I was still a bit shell-shocked his performance and Golson's at the weekend.
As I said earlier on, mate, it's not the first time that we've mentioned their 2 names together in an Old Firm game that they've not lived up to the potential, the expectation, that they've been seen wandering, getting caught in the headlights, making slack passes, just general poor play when they could have been on form and into a game. I mean, I think it was the O'Reilly header, if I remember back, it was Tav that lost the ball there as well. And I don't know what it is about the Old Firm game. And I know he can score a penalty and score a free kick, and if he gets you a point or whatnot, the overall play at times for Tavernier in an Old Firm game is shocking. And if he's not the captain, any other player, he'd be whipped off. And I think he feels protected. And as Tam says, we've not got somebody at right back that's pushing him other than Sterling, but you haven't to play him at left back, you haven't to put him in midfield. So I certainly think defence will be worked on in the summer. right back, it might not be as looked at because we've got Sterling there. It might be other parts of the defence. Connor Goldson again, another one. These players aren't getting any younger, and there has to be a time where we need to shake hands, thank you for your service, and move on. And as Tam says, though, for Tavernier, you won't really miss him until he's gone, and you realise how much of a contribution he has made.
True.
JM, do you think it's a tactical thing in these games, especially all firms, that we maybe need to look at? Because like Robert's touched on, Tav and Golson and stuff like that can deal with European teams. They can deal with most of the SPFL. I mean, it seems to be, like it says, against Celtic, the two of them, apart from probably the 55 season, they always seem to have this kind of brain fart in them in these games.
It's a tough one to actually pinpoint, isn't it? Because like Robert said in that, you've had great moments for Tav in the games. Golson, scored 2 and has been a rock on occasions, but there's also been a lot of errors as well, hasn't there? I mean, they have played a lot of them. You're going to make some mistakes, but a lot of the individual errors are clangers, aren't they? And I don't know, to be honest. They obviously, they feel like they've got a tactic there because maybe they know Tav maybe feels like he needs a bit too much time on the ball, and he knows that guy runs like mad, and maybe that just puts him under a bit of pressure, and he's nervous about it because he's been caught a couple of times, hasn't he? Not only that one, I remember one he passed short. I think Forrest scored against us or whatever it was. He's been caught out a few times on the ball, and maybe it is just a mental block, but he's took the penalty and scored. He's scored a couple of free kicks there. I don't know. You don't want to be too harsh or overreacting, but that was a really poor first half display, I've got to say, and we can't afford to. It was as individually as errors. I mean, I know it's not tennis, but I wouldn't have mind seeing the unforced errors from Tavernier on that one, because some of the passes weren't even close to pass into open grass. I don't know. Sorry, Joe.
No.
To answer the question, it's hard to pinpoint. I don't know, and you don't want to be harsh on someone like Tavernier, but it was a really, really bad first half performance.
Sam, I think the only small criticism of the manager for me is that's him now. He's had 12 firms, so I'm hoping that this one at Celtic Park, he's got to learn from what he's seen in that first half. He's got to, if Tav is going to struggle against a Maeda, or Golson's got to struggle with the kind of the physical battle, then we've got to tactically be ready for that. We've got to maybe set up a bit differently. I really hope that this is the manager can solve that puzzle come the game against Celtic at Celtic Park.
Well, to me, I think this is a lesson learned to Big Phil. And come the Parkhead game, Tavernier will still be at a teammate at right back, but I can see Big Stillen just sitting in front of him, right, as protection for the likes of the wee chap running up and down the wing. Right, he'll take him right out of the game as if it's World War II. You know what I mean? And I went in for a big surprise. I don't know what it is. I can feel it in my water. We're going there and we're taking a result from Parkhead in front of their crowd and shut all their mob up. And I just get this feeling. I didn't have it on Sunday, by the way. I knew we were going to make mistakes on Sunday, and I was only hoping that we recovered, and we did. We did in the second half. But this time we've got to play the second half and the first half at Parkhead, and we will trounce them. But I still say we're going to take a result.
Mm-hmm. No, Tam, and I like that what you says. You touched on the kind of character of the team, Robert. The character to come back. I mean, and like I says, snatch the draw. Like I says, that celebration they were doing in the dugout when they scored that third goal. They were thinking that was it. They've got the 3 points in the bag and game over, and title was coming straight to them and all that, Kieran, and Big Matondo goes and disperses them.
It's a goal worth celebrating, mate, in any game. But I think, as you said, to come from 2-0 down, to get to 2-2, and then that sucker punch so late on, to then go and get a third equaliser, certainly go and celebrate it. And it's not football if you don't celebrate a goal. So whether you're winning, you're drawing, at the end of the day, it's a point that at half time we thought we weren't getting. And as I said earlier, it could have been worse at half time. It could have been no points at all. And come the end of the season, you never know. That Rabbi Matondo goal for that point may just be the vital point that we need to get over the line.
Definitely. Can I ask you something? Who tell Big Goldson he can head a ball? Why did I let him up here at corners? He's got a head like a 10-bob bit.
I'll take it to Jim. Jim, you touched on it. I think it's the 2 goals in the 55 season when he scored the 2 headers. No.
One header and one tap him on it, bounced to him, didn't it? But you see, for the obviously, I'm trying to get him right order, but I'll go through the one that plays in my mind more. You see the sitter, the sitter, the one that you're assuming when he headers it, you're looking for the ref to point to a corner because watching it live, you could not think how that's not gone, at least on target. See if it hit Joe Hart in the face or something. It's bad luck, isn't it? It's bad luck. And I know it was windy, but how you can miss time for something like that and not even, by the looks of the highlights, not even get it on your head. It was infuriating. And then when you watch back, I know it took a deflection, but I think you've been a little bit polite, to be honest, to Goldson on that one, GB, on the penalty. See, when you watch back at him trying to header it, what's he doing with his arms out? And again, how's he got his head on it? Like seriously. So one of the because again, once it goes, and again, I think that's a joke that the only people that don't get to see what's going on with VAR are the ones that are in the ground watching the game. It's ridiculous. You don't know until someone gets their phone out. But and then you have a look and you see it and you go, you know what? It is a penalty. And what the hell was he doing jumping like that? And again, not getting his head on it. So to answer your question, Sam, I don't know who told him to or who's taught him how to header it because he can't.
Sam, the weekend there was a couple of players that again didn't really turn up. I felt. I mean, again, I've been one that's been banging the drum for Lundstrom to get a contract, but again, totally just kind of wasn't in the game. And we need, if we're going to give a guy like that the kind of contract he's asking for, and the manager's got to give him that responsibility in the centre of the park, we need a guy in there constantly with the dig. We can't have these big games and he's no involved, because the thing about Rangers is, we've not got the money to spend on 2 good, proper, strong midfielders in there. You know what I mean? And I think, like I says, I think the manager's maybe going to have a few headaches come the summer deciding whether to go with certain players, because as you've seen in that first half, it raised a lot of questions there, a lot of their futures.
But I don't blame Big Lundstrom totally this Sunday. Big Lundstrom, to me, was looking as if he was too busy worrying about what's happening behind him with your defence. Right? He was caught in 2 minds half of the time. Does he get back and help them, or does he go forward, or what? I think himself is wondering what's happening behind him. You know what I mean? I played right back when I played football, right? And my attitude was, if that ball come over into the box, it's mine. I don't care who's in front of me. Whether you're my goalkeeper, you're my forward, whatever. You're in front of me, look out, because the ball's mine. Right? We've not got that at Ibrox. Big shooter, I'll give him his dues sometimes. Big Balogun, he's got it 100%. Right? But Tavernier and Goldson hasn't got that killer attitude. And Big Lundstrom, to me, was looking worried about what was happening behind him when the ball went over. Right? It made Big Lundstrom look silly, if you know what I mean. Looked like a schoolboy caught in the headlights. I remember Rixon, the game with Rixon, Old Firm game, when Abercat was our manager. The first 10-15 minutes, hooked him off because the game went by him. Right? Hooked him off. Mm-hmm. And I remember Rixon going off, it was his first Old Firm game. But later on, he turned around and admitted publicly he'd done the right thing, because he couldn't cope with that kind of game. But he turned out to look at him. He was a player of the year that year. He was a player's player. He won all sorts of honours, Rixon, and became a hero, a legend at our club.
And a captain as well. Mm-hmm.
All right.
I know, a good point. And Robert, you want to come in there, mate?
Sorry, I missed half of that. Sorry, what was that?
No, what Tam was just saying that like, says players can come back. Like it says, yeah, I know Lundstrom was struggling, but maybe it was because, like I says, I think young Diamande as well was a kind of a bit of a rabbit in the headlights in the game as well.
Aye.
He looked off the pace, mate, and that's what I was saying earlier on about you're asking Lundstrom to cover Tav when he's going forward. You're asking Lundstrom to cover his position, and if Diamande's off the pace, he's trying to cover 3 areas, so it's quite a lot, and that's sometimes when the fault lies with playing 2 central midfielders and not having that third in there. But it wouldn't change the way we approach the game. It's worked well, but we know that Lundstrom's had games where he's been very good, he's been consistent, especially under Clement. He's probably been the most improved and the most consistent under Clement since he came in. But a lot of fans amongst us will be able to tell you how quickly that you can go into hiding and that you can disappear and have that attitude of not interested. And he wasn't far out the door under previous regimes as well. So he can come back, but they can also disappear quickly. But again, the second half said a lot about the players. But for the ones that are out of contract, the games are running out to make a stake for staying next season.
Hey, Joe, just before I come back to you, Tam, it is fast approaching the tune, so I'll just go round you all. Overall, let's say it was probably a point gained at the end of that game at the weekend, and gives your man of the match for yourselves. So yourself, Tam, who do you think kind of stood out for the Rangers?
It's a hard one, but I would say Big Sterling. For a boy to play in a position that he's just been thrown into, I would say Sterling.
Good choice, mate. Good choice. JM?
Rabbi Matondo.
Oh, the match winner.
for obvious reasons, I thought Sterling and Suter consistently throughout the game were pretty good. But I just think for the moment, we needed a moment, didn't we? That was one of the games where we've always talked about in other games where we needed someone to step up with a bit of class, and the young man did it, didn't he? So for that, I'll give it to him.
Good choice, mate. Robert, your choice, mate?
Sima. Changed the game, changed the dynamics, got his goal. Could have had an assist with the Dessers goal as well, chopped off. So that swung the game for us, I think, that change.
Another good choice, mate. That's three, probably, like I say, 3 decent choices at the game, because, like you say, they all had an impact that second half. Do you know somebody that really surprised me in the game, and I was fearful for him, but it was Big Dessers, Tam. I felt Big Dessers battled all day. That first half, he didn't get much service at all. You know what I mean? And in the second half, like I say, he's very unlucky to get that goal chopped off. He was pinpoint in getting like I say, trying to get us back in that game, and I felt sorry for him because he was celebrating with the fans and everything. You know what I mean? And then that one at the end, see, I tell you something, see if I just swerved a wee bit more, that would have been in the bottom corner.
I know.
And by the way, see for the Matondo goal, him and Cantwell, Dessa's done a lovely touch in the middle. And I know players should be capable of it, but you see for the time of the game and what was going on, the little bit of football, it was a lovely little first-time cushion volley from Dessa's as well, sort of to start the move over after he won the ball back. So fair play to him for that as well, because I've seen them bounce off his shin before.
That's it. You're just one to contribute.
At the end, man. Did you see that one at Dessers in the end, man? I had teeth marks on the TV. I thought it was good.
Well, Tam, we're coming up to the tune. Hopefully you'll stay with us, mate, because we're going to have the tune, and then we're going to actually start the build-up to the game tomorrow night that maybe be going ahead. So are you happy to stay with us, mate?
I will do, mate. Will do.
Right. So if you get yourself on mute now, and JM and Robert, if you just put yourself on mute as well now, we're going to have a tune from the Foxy Boy.
Right, no bother.
I close my eyes and picture the lovely Ibrox scene. I never even think about the 40 shades of green. The lads that I will sing about, King William's chosen few, are a credit to our loyal club in their shirts of royal blue. I think that I can see again Davy Wilson on the wing, praises we did sing. Greg and Shearer played their part, and Slim Jim Baxter too, and they lifted many trophies in their shirts of royal blue. The Hibs, the Hearts, the Celtic, the two teams in Dundee, and the Northern Lights of Aberdeen don't mean that much to me. And other teams throughout the land have supporters, just a few, but the team we love is Rangers in the shirts of royal blue. Think that I can see again Davy Wilson on the wing, Miller, Brand and Henderson, the praises we did sing. Greg and Shearer played their part, and Slim Jim Baxter too, and they lifted many trophies in their shirts of royal blue. And they lifted many trophies in their shirts of royal blue, and lifted many trophies in their shirts of royal blue.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Right, so so we'll start the build up to the game tomorrow. As it stands now, I think we're looking at a pitch inspection at 11 a.m. tomorrow, and we're going to get the thoughts on the manager as well on it. Tam, it's again another big game for the Rangers. We've got to go up there and like I says, grasp this one. We've got to take the maximum points for it, and then like I says, start to put the pressure on across the city. Yeah.
Oh, definitely, it's a must win. But what I'm thinking is, now they're all greeting about health and safety. Have you ever kicked a wet ball that's been dipped in sand? You ever heated a ball wet with sand on it, and they're saying it's playable? If that's not dangerous, what is?
I was surprised, Tam, as well. At the weekend, I was actually watching the Dundee Motherwell game just purely to see how the ball was bouncing about on that park, and Robert, how they allowed that game to go ahead at the weekend there was beyond me.
No, you can see the pictures and the videos. I don't know what ones you saw the ball bouncing, but I didn't see him very much at it, to be honest. It's dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. And if your foot gets caught in that grass or anything, a tackle comes in wrong angle, it's going to be a career ender almost. And it's embarrassing that a so-called top flight club can't maintain a pitch over the course of the season when there's teams that are less financial, further down the leagues, whatever, and have better pitches, and there's one literally 20 steps away from the ground. So it's an embarrassment, mate, if they can't put it on tomorrow. From a player's perspective, I heard that Andy Halliday in the radio, he was perplexed that the game went ahead at the weekend, and he was thinking, this was on Monday, he said, I'll be surprised if it's on Wednesday after they played on it, plus the rain. It's dry at the moment, I believe, but it's to open up the heavens first thing in the morning, just for the inspection, of course.
I will see. Right, we're going to hear for our manager now, so again, just get yourselves on mute, stay nice and quiet, and like it says, we'll hear for the manager.
Another game tomorrow. If the pitch holds up, how hopeful are you this game will go ahead?
I don't know. It's a crazy situation to go in a top league that you don't know the day before, and we're gonna travel now in half an hour or in 1 hour. That we're gonna travel there, we're gonna stay there in hotel, and you don't know yet if the game is on tomorrow or not. So that's a really weird situation. Okay, it can happen in extreme circumstances, And I don't think last few years in all the top leagues it ever happened. But now when it's raining in Scotland, there's every time a problem. And it's not that in Scotland normally there are a lot of sunny days. So no, it's a bad situation for the league, I think, and for Dundee themselves also. I don't think they're happy with that situation also.
Do you have concerns for the safety of your players on that pitch tomorrow night?
I don't know, because I haven't seen the pitch. I haven't been on the pitch. It was clear when the moment we were there last time that it was dangerous for players, for both teams, and it was not playable. So I will see if it's another situation now. And at the end, I'm not the one who decides. It's the referee who decides this.
Are you hopeful of, if the game is to be called off or called on, are you hopeful of an earlier decision so it doesn't say?
Yeah, of course. I want a decision today, because you want to prepare games, but the clubs, both clubs and the federation are on speaking terms about that. Of course, you want not only for us, because you want to prepare games. If it's not possible, you want to see what's the alternative. And then you need to find an alternative elsewhere, because we don't have much time anymore. There's a split next week in the league, so that's also clear. You want an alternative, and then to play as fast as possible, but you need to prepare also. So I think these things give a really bad image to the league, and it needs to be solved in the future that this is not possible anymore.
Is that something that the club have discussed with the league or with Dundee about changing the protocols, the way it works for perhaps next season?
I don't know, because I was not in all these talks. We had a small game on Sunday to prepare. No, and don't write it in that way, because it's a little bit sarcastic. No, the club has been in talks with Dundee and the league to see that everybody can play a good football game, because that's what everybody wants, what you guys want also, and where the broadcasters are paying a lot of money for.
In terms of Dundee themselves, their team, obviously last time you were up there was a bit of a delay, then a great performance, a big win, but they've been perhaps a surprise package of the league. Obviously they're trying to win, they want top 6. What do you expect from them in terms of the team itself?
Yeah, they're playing, they're in the battle for this top 6 place, what's a huge thing. They're going full in attack, creating a lot of chances, scoring a lot of goals. They have a manager also with a lot of fire inside of him. So it's a big test to play against them. It's a good team.
Philippe, you said you'd rather a decision was made today about the game, whether it's going to go ahead tomorrow. Have you made that? Has Rangers made that clear to Dundee and the league?
I don't know. It's my opinion, of course, because I want to prepare a game. So if we cannot play tomorrow, when we're going to play then? Is it then on Thursday? So if it's on Thursday, I would like to know that today, so we can train tomorrow. If the decision is made tomorrow evening, we have one afternoon, evening, all day in a hotel near to Dundee for nothing. Lost time that you cannot work with the players. So I think it's a logical thing to make a good decision today for everybody. But that's my opinion, my personal opinion, as a manager. And I think every manager has the same opinion about that. I understand that a game is cancelled like last minute or the last hours in special circumstances. Special weather circumstances, something happened. But this is just something that's repeated every time it's raining. Then you can make an assessment today, I think.
Do you think there should be repercussions for a club whose ground continually fails?
No, those are things for people of the boards of clubs and all the clubs in the league to discuss. That's not my role. My role is the sportive side and the sportive side of Rangers. So that's not a question for me, I think.
Philippe, just one more on the game tomorrow. The Dundee owner, John Nelms, was saying they would want to play the game next week if it's postponed tomorrow. How would you feel about that?
there are talks with the two clubs and the federation about that. So when is the right time to play? But if you want to play in Dundee next week, what's going to happen when it rains next week? Strange for me. So because every time it rains, there's a problem. So those are things for the federation to find a solution, and a good solution for football also, and for fans.
So would you be comfortable going to a neutral stadium to get the fixture played?
Yeah, I think in these circumstances it can be a logical choice.
Why not make the decision today on the park? Because if he's called it half the day or he's moved it to a venue, then the game can go ahead, because we know that this park can't handle rain. So, hi Jai, my head's kind of burst with it. I don't know why we're dancing around about Dundee. Dundee should be, I'm not saying that we give us the 3 points, right? But the decision should be taken out their hands. The league should be stepping in and going, no. We've got Sky turning up to this game and everything. We're going to move it to a neutral venue, and like I says, we'll notify the fans, and the fans can still turn up and purchase their tickets as normal. It's an absolute farce that this carry-on's going on in our league, especially at this time of year. We're now 2 weeks into April and we're having this carry-on going on.
Yeah, it's embarrassing, isn't it? And what sums it up again? I mean, maybe they never thought they'd have to cover this, but in Scotland, there is nothing in place for when this does happen, because a team just now consistently not being able to fulfil fixtures. Like you said, I don't think the punishment should be this isn't kids football, a forfeited game, you get the points or whatever. But another logical one could be, well, if the team you're hosting's ground's fit to play, you're gonna have to go play it at their place. Maybe not once, but definitely the second time. Bad bit of leather, bad bit of luck, extreme weather. Maybe you can forgive him, of course. Freak weather's happen, but right, you can't play this twice. Ibrox is ready to play. You guys are gonna have to travel there. They got. I'm all about keeping things fair and keeping things as close as logical within reason. But when does a team start not being punished for just poor management of their club? And I don't know, because you can't get, like you said, you can't get given 3 points. That doesn't work, but. It's getting ridiculous. And I'll just correct me if I'm wrong as well. I was just looking at the league table, right? And they're saying, I heard the interview of their chairman, and they said they wanted it played next week. So that would mean, because obviously the split's supposed to be decided by this weekend, isn't it? But obviously with the games taking place, because Motherwell and Hibs play each other, it's between them two and Dundee for the 6th spot, isn't it? Because if Motherwell were to win with their goal difference against Hibs, they'd go above Dundee. So this chairman that's going to be a runner of a business and whatever wants all the other teams' fans to wait and see who's going where before when the fixtures would meant to be for the following weekend. How can that be allowed to happen?
And the thing is, JMC, if our game doesn't go ahead, right, basically, say for talking sakes, we go up there, we win, right, then there's pressure involved in the next game for Dundee. Whereas when they get a full week to train for this next game, there's a bit of unfair advantage going on there as well for me.
Because they might know by next week. They might only need to. I don't know if I look at the league, they might only need a point, or with goal difference, they might only need to not get pumped, and it changes everything, doesn't it? It changes everything. You're right. It gives them suddenly they might get an advantage.
Yep. Robert, do you want to come in, mate? Again, total farcical. The league should be stepping in. Our guys that are running Doncaster and all the rest of it, they've got a contract with Sky. there should be things in place here that, like I says, we take it out of Dundee's hands. And as Jayam touched on, see, even if there's an inkling that they think they can move this game to next week, we should only be accepting it if it goes back to Ibrox.
I think even the prospect of mentioning if it's not fit for tomorrow night, we'll play it next week, is as farcical as having it postponed in the first two instances anyway. If you, as Jayam said, if you're having a fixture from what would be at the time a top six side versus a bottom six side, with results going that way, as Jayam said, after the split, it's an embarrassing, mate. It's absolutely embarrassing, and you can't have 10 teams waiting on the outcome of one game. And as Jayam said, it affects Motherwell, it affects Hibs. That's preparation, and you can't do that. And as much as it is about us as well, these other teams are going to get affected with what Dundee do tomorrow. And the fact that their director or whoever is in charge is saying, if it's not fit tomorrow, we'll hopefully get it for next week. That says to me that he doesn't believe it's going to go ahead. And that's embarrassing. It is absolutely embarrassing. Play it at Ibrox, play it at Tannadice, 20 steps away, whatever. Get the game on. Because you know for a fact if the 3 points were awarded, what an absolute meltdown it would be from one half of Glasgow.
Mm-hmm. Tam, do you want to come in, mate? I would imagine, like I say, you've seen the Rangers millions of times, and you've probably never seen anything like this carry on going on with a park.
Never, because why have we been punished when it's not your mistake? It's not your fault. Our board should be on their case and demanding either the forfeit or play. Right? And if we can't play in their ground, in a neutral ground, I know it'll not be Tannadice because they've not got VAR, and that'd be against the referees making decisions against us. So that rules that out. That'd be too much advantage for us, having to play a game without VAR, chopping goals up, fouls and things like that. So it's the ball's in their court to get a ground playable for every team in this league, not just against us, every team. Right? And if they can't do it, they should be punished for it.
Damn, it affects our preparation as well. The manager's touched on it.
Yeah.
It means our players don't know whether they're coming or going. We've got guys that are trying to probably keep the minutes in their legs as well. You mean there's a multitude of things affecting us, and like I says, I just think it should be taken out of Dundee's hands. It's not down to them to make the decision whether the game goes ahead. I know ultimately a ref's got to go in a park and decide whether the park's fit for purpose. But see, at the end of the day, see if they're scared of a bit of rain going on the park, then, like I says, our league should be stepping in. Especially, like I says, this game's got to be live on Sky. If Sky don't get this game to go ahead and they turn around and say we need to reschedule, Sky might not show this game again.
I know. I laughed at Big Phil when he said vote for rain next week. What he should have said was, if it's not raining, get 5 minutes.
Jayam, the manager's, like I says, he seems a bit, like I says, bewildered with it. I think he's wanting the powers that be to step in and deal with us.
Yeah, he's aware how he's only been here how many months. He's aware how incompetent them running the leagues are, aren't they? And he keeps saying it, a big league and a big league. And I think this is the problem. I think he's maybe us, and maybe trying to. I mean, we've gone past being a big league now, but we're wanting to try and maybe maintain some standards, or try and get some respect back. And we can't even get a game live on Sky. We can't even get a pitch fit to play. Do you know what I mean? We can't even get a pitch fit to play, and we're trying to maintain that we're still a big league. Or, or people would try and pretend or whatever that the standard's not that bad. We're an embarrassment. Everyone else is just laughing at it. And rightly so, by the way. If we wasn't involved in it, I'd be laughing at it more as well.
Mm-hmm. No. Robert, as I was saying to Tam there, our preparation for a game, like I say, the players have got to eat at certain times. They've got to travel. You know what I mean? There's a multitude of things involved in this. And like I say, see if there's any doubt tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock with this game. Like you said, mate, it's got to get moved. It's got to get moved to a neutral venue that's playable. Because, again, Sky turning up here, the league has got to, like I say, the league's got to show their side that they've got a bit of strength behind them. You know what I mean? I just don't get it. I don't know why like say Doncaster and that are being so quiet on it, because they should be coming out and making fans aware, because it's fans that are travelling up there and all.
Aye, that's what I feel for.
Absolutely, mate. And as well, I know it's on Sky Money, but you're competing with the Champions League, and it's not often you've got a league game on the TV at the same time as the Champions League. So that in itself is a big money slot for the league. So if you're not able to fulfil that for the second time, Sky's going to turn around and say, nah, your deal can go away. Because if that's the expectation that a bit of rain is going to force one club to not fulfil their home fixtures when they're meant to be played, what you meant to do. So, as you said, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, if the game is questionable, move it. And I wonder if Rangers have put out that offer to go to Ibrox tomorrow night, if it is the case, given that it's that early, and if Dundee would take it or not. Because if they say no, then they need to be held liable, because that's just neglecting their duty to be fulfilling a game. I don't know the laws and the ins and outs of it all, but if they turn around and say no to it, surely that changes it even bigger, and it's an embarrassment again for Dundee.
No. Sam, just before we bring in other callers, mate, just your kind of final thoughts on tomorrow and a kind of score prediction from you, mate.
Well, I think we're going to get up there and we're going to pounce them at least 3-0. But I've got to go anyway, because that's the love of my life at the door. Sorry, my mistake's life. Right. I'll say good night to you boys. Right. Another great show. Right. I'll keep listening, but great show. Thanks very much.
Thanks for phoning in, mate, and great points, and thanks for contributing to the show, mate. Brilliant tonight.
No bother. I'll probably phone back later after the Dundee game. The Magic Mystery Tour.
More than welcome, mate. Take care, all right?
Right, good night, boys. Right.
Yes, Sam.
GB, just see when you're talking about preparation, then if the game doesn't go ahead tomorrow night, right, and they do move it to next week, that's a midweek fixture that we would have to fulfil before a Scottish Cup semi-final. Where's the fairness in that?
Exactly, and the other clubs are getting a full week. I mean, see the cheek of that Dundee chairman to come out and say, "Oh, it's all right, we've got next week." He's not the one that's involved in like you say, a cup game. I mean, I think Rangers should be straight up there. By the way, Clermont will not miss them because you'll be like, "Oh, aye, we're just to suit yous because your park is an absolute cow tip." It's like I said to these lads, I think it's absolutely shocking that even the league folk running our game is allowing this carry on. I mean, they've had the international break to get the pitch to a kind of standard. They allowed Murrow to come up, and do you know where I'm disappointed as well? I was watching the refs at the weekend on the park, and they were bouncing the ball, into that bit where they've flung hundreds of sand and stuff like that. The ball wasn't bouncing, and how the Dundee chairman can say, "Oh, that there was no risk there, no the rest of it," and how the refs could even say that the ball wasn't at risk in that sand pit that they built is beyond me. And I really, like I says, I hope the ref turns up tomorrow morning and says it's no fit to play, and like I says, Rangers or the league or even Sky to a certain extent, Robert, step in and go like, no, we need to switch this to either, like he says, across the road. I know Tam touched on the VAR. I don't know if that plays a big part in it or no. I'm not sure if that's allowed, but a neutral venue for me, the game's got to go ahead, even if it's delayed another hour at night or something like that to get the game to be done. Because again, it's up to us. We want the points in the bag as well. We want to kind of be settled in the league. We don't want to have this kind of game and hon hanging there. It's shocking.
When you put it like that, mate, and you think about the fact that the Motherwell game did go ahead at the weekend, the fact that they two are vying for the bottom six or the top six, that last spot, why not postpone that game? Give the pitch time to recover for Wednesday and then put on the Dundee Motherwell game next week. Because that's your teams that are affecting that top six. We're in a title race. We've got cup competitions. Dundee and Motherwell can battle out for that sixth spot all they want. They shouldn't be dragging us into it and having to put these fixtures here.
Still doesn't resolve the issue. Still doesn't resolve the issue of fixtures, does it? The problem is they've got themselves in an absolute thing because they can't release, until that's done, they can't release fixtures who's playing where, can they? And you've got to remember, they're looking at playing that next Wednesday or Thursday. What, some people are going to have 2 days to plan an away day.
I get that, mate. I get that.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, guys. But I mean, they've just got themselves in some mess, haven't they? It's absolute. I hope to see tomorrow as well. See if that pitch isn't close to being playable, but they try and sneak it on. I hope we stamp our feet. I hope we put our foot down and make a point that it's not safe. And you know, if within our, I'm sure we've looked into this. Clement might miss a trick, but whoever. But if we've got a right to refuse to play on it because it's dangerous for the player, because players' welfare has to come into it as well. So it's not just a case of whatever referee saying, "Oh, we can have a game on it." We have to make sure it's fair to play on it as well.
Oh, Jim, you touched on it there about players and stuff like that. We've got another part of the managers. This the last part of the interview, and he gives us an insight to how the players are, and again this whole build up and how we've got to protect our players. Let's hear from a manager.
Can you give us an update in terms of your squad? Is Ridvan still missing?
Ridvan is still missing, yes. For the rest, no special things after our last game.
Is his injury looking more long term now?
No, not long term, but he's not fit for this game.
When do you envisage him coming back?
As fast as possible. No, it's difficult. It's a matter of days. So not weeks. It's gonna not be many weeks, but is it now in a few days or after the weekend? We will see. So that's difficult, to predict now.
Can I ask you about Roof and Raskin, who couldn't get into the squad at the weekend? Have they still got a big part to play before the end of the season?
Of course, like everybody. Maybe they're in the squad tomorrow. Can be. So that depends of positions, how the opponent is, how we are, the form they show in training, and I didn't have anything to say about that. It's not that they are not performing or not doing their best, but there's a lot of competition. This is Rangers, and this is what we want also, to have competition for spots, and that everybody needs to fight for their spots to be in the team or to be on the bench.
Is Ryan Jack likely to be back before the end of the season?
That's a difficult one. He was on a good way back last week, but then he felt again a bit. So we are looking now for other solution to get him back. So we lost some time there, and so we will see. It's week by week looking at the situation and looking for solutions.
Could you remind us what his injury is?
It's problem with his calves, and it's something that's already there for years. So it's something that needs to be solved well. I'm also not a manager who wants to get a player back for one game and then he's out for 3 months, or he has a risk for the rest of his career. That I don't want also.
In terms of the two longer term ones, Danilo and Cortez, are they done for the season, or is there a chance we'll see them again?
I think there's a big chance that the season is finished for them, but you never know that if they're ready the last week, and it's necessary that we do that if they are fit. So for them, it's really, they're gonna be ready in the really last part of the season. It depends also if you play a cup final or not. That's already 1 week more, and we'll make an evaluation that moment. But it's around that period that they will be fit again. So it's difficult to speak about 1 week or 2 weeks according to that, and then it's to see what the situation is also in the squad and how they are also after their very long-term injury.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
That's it. It's nice and easy. Give us a wee phone, just like what Tam done, and come in and give your points, and let's just give us your thoughts on this farcical Dundee pitch. JM, the manager's touching on the injuries there. Before we jump back to the Dundee game, it's thanks for your memories, Ryan Jack.
Absolutely, and what I like, at least if we're accepting he's not going to play for us again, at least we're conducting ourselves with class. Like Clement says, to be fair, he's not going to bring somebody in and potentially ruin what career they might have left, because obviously Jack's had his problems, hasn't he? He's never been able to keep himself fit really since he's been with us, and what's the point in bringing them in for one game? Because that's all it's been, hasn't it? I think, what did he do? String 4 or 5 together when Clement just came in? And then he's not in, and he went away with Scotland, didn't he? And then came on for 10 minutes and then wasn't seen again. So he's obviously got serious issues that he'll need to sort for his career. So wish Ryan Jack all the best, but doesn't look like we're going to see him again playing in a Rangers shirt, does it?
No, definitely not, JM. Robert, that's his manager saying there, it's like long term. When you're saying long term, that's end of the season stuff. And again, thanks for the memories.
Yeah, long term and only as long as your contract, unfortunately. But it is a sad way to end his career. I'm sure it's not the way they wanted it, but it certainly does seem that we've seen the last of Ryan Jack, and the next time we'll see him will probably be at the end of season party, and hopefully he's got a winner's medal to leave with.
That's it. And again, JM, it starts with tomorrow night, and as much as we're kind of contemplating whether the pitch has got to go ahead, we need squads. So I'm going to come at the two of you. Let's have go come to yourself first, JM. Let's have your team for tomorrow night.
I was doing a bridge man there. Sorry, I picked up a little bit of my sound. And did we get clarity on Ridvan there? I missed the pictures on Ridvan.
He's as far as I'm aware, Robert, he's still saying that he's out, and it's more days than weeks, kind of thing.
Yeah, just too soon. All right, and fair enough. Yeah. So if I was going for obviously tomorrow night, Super Jack in goal, Tav, Goldson, Suter, and then I would go with Borna at left back, and then I would have Big John, John Sterling in the middle, Cantwell behind Dessers, Seamer on the right of him, Matondo on the left of them.
So kind of that second half team, apart from kind of Barisic and Diamande. Robert, your team, mate?
Almost the same. I'll go Butland, Tav, Goldson. Although I know he did come off the weekend, nobody asked him that position if he was injured or carrying a knock. So I'd assume he's fit if he wasn't asked. So Goldson, Suter, keep Sterling at left back. Lundstrom. I'm going to put Dowell in just because he did an interview today, and I'm assuming whoever does the interview usually starts. Seamer, Cantwell, Matondo, Dessers.
Aye, decent team. I would, Robert, just stick with yourself because the team in that. I think I would go with Matondo. I think the boy will be flying high in confidence now. Might not get the full game out of him, but what I says, I think we're going to need probably that kind of pace and trickery. If he can pop up with another goal like he's done it the last two games, then it will just kind of break that deadlock. And I think it will settle us, because if the pitch is going to be terrible, as we probably think it's going to be quite a hard slog game. Dundee will try and bring us down to even a further level to try and make it even Stevens. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, Dundee are on a bit of form as well. Now, a couple of dangerous wee players at their set pieces and stuff like that. So it's, again, we've got to be switched on for. So I would have pace and power on there.
Yeah, I just feel that the way we ended the game at the weekend, Seamer, Matondo, the influence that they had, an impact they had in the game. Obviously, both scored. As you said, Matondo's got the Hibs goal last week as well in his back pocket. So, despite the pitch probably going to be an absolute mudfest, you want your ball carriers, and if these two boys can run at the defence with a ball through these mud patches, they're going to be more, in my opinion, more creative, more direct than a Silva, a Wright. So certainly a more attacking outset, and if we start the way we finished, then we will really hurt Dundee as well. So the good thing is you could interchange the two of them. They could both switch wings as well, so there'll be a bit of fluidity in the wings that they can both probably play right and left.
I agree, mate. It's something we've never had before, JM, isn't it? We've never had that Well, I'd say we've not had it with Clement. I think I've seen it with Gerrard a couple of times where he's kind of switched the wingers a couple of times. But it's good to have that option that we can put, like I say, Rabi and Sima either side now. It's something I've never really seen happening, especially with Sima. I've either seen him as either striker or on the left.
Yeah, and it just gives defences, each defender have got something completely different to think about. Rabi's more obvious, like lightning pace, whereas Seema's, like I just said, is quick as well, but a powerful runner, different and a bit more of a pest maybe with some diagonal balls, and you won't get a headache there. And also within the mix there, you've got maybe Big Cyril playing with his back to goal and hopefully ruffling up a few defenders. So it means hopefully, if we say it was that attacking three, you've then got three players that are going to give the defenders headaches and different headaches. And if you keep swapping them, they're not really going to get a breather.
Robert, you said about Doyle. Any more surprises, do you think? I would maybe, for the press conference, I'm thinking maybe Roof might be involved in the squad.
I dare say there's a position for him on the bench. I don't think he'll start. I don't think that from the weekend that Desser's done anything wrong to not be starting the game tomorrow night. Roof, for me, between now and the end of the season, is an impact player. And that can be when you're 1-0 down or 0-0, just looking to break that deadlock. Roof's got to go in him, I feel. And again, he's another one we'll shake hands and say thanks for your part in playing for the club, and the future lies elsewhere. But between now and then, he's certainly got a say for me in these games. And I don't know, again, it's one of those ones where you put him on the bench, but does the pitch play into the factor of, do you even risk bringing him on? And Clement's just said they wouldn't have somebody in for one game and risk further games or their career. So it might be a pitch that Roof says, no thanks, I'll sit on the bench and take a nice view.
No, true, mate. Jim, Robert's touching on risk. Would we want to risk the likes of Asima since he's just came back for a 45-minute spell, or do you think he's fit and ready for the full 90 and a mudfest up there? For me, not him to young McCausland, but it might be the game for him, considering he's played in lower leagues and probably played in parts like that. Yeah,
maybe. I just think, 6 games ago now? If you don't start playing them now, when the hell are they going to play? Well, I don't know if we've just been hurt with too many injuries or we get sensitive, but, he's been on the bench now for a couple of weeks, been coming back. Professional footballers have surely got to be ready to play, haven't they? Maybe we've been stung so bad this season, we're just fear of anyone getting injured if they get touched. But, came on, he won't fear to throw him on for a half on the weekend there. He's got to be ready to start, hasn't he? Get what you're saying with McCausland, but a little bit like Raskin, even over the injuries and that we've had to the team, he's sort of, I know he took a knock, McCausland, like Raskin came back from an injury, but featuring less and less, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Robert, Raskin's one I kind of see. I think, like you say, Dill's there. You've got Diamande, you've got Lawrence. Young Raskin's got a big fight in his hands to get back into anything near this squad or even starting lineup.
He does, and when Clement first came in the door, I remember I went round the panel and asked who they thought would be the one that stands out under Clement, and I said Raskin, mainly because of the Belgium influence and a wee bit of understanding of playing the Belgian leagues and knowing Clement possibly. I put him as maybe the one that would stand out. He hasn't when he has been available. Yes, injuries have hampered that. Might be a completely different player once he gets into pre-season and gets the fitness. But as you say, you've got Diamande, you've got potentially Lundstrom staying, you've got Lawrence can be in that position, Dowell, who again has had injuries, but when he comes on, he seems to be keen and eager to impress, and that's one again come pre-season with a full fitness in him. Another player that's in a position that Raskin's going to have to fight for, and it's up to his attitude then, and his application of if he wants that battle, because if not, he'll be moved on.
100%. I just think he's. It's not that he's been bad or anything like playing bad. What I mean is, I think he's in amongst new boys that are, hungry for the shirt. It's not going to be that easy just to to go back into the squad. I think, to be fair to him, in his time that he was here with Beale and stuff like that, he was kind of one of the first picks because we didn't really have much competition for him. And I think now that all the competition's fit, Robert, I think that's I think, like I say, his time's kind of numbered a wee bit.
There's a pecking order, and unfortunately, when there is a pecking order and you have an injury, it's harder to get back up when these players come in and make impacts. And one name I didn't mention there was Sterling. We know he can play in midfield as well. So you look at Raskin, you look at Sterling, two different types of players, but you're not going to muscle your way in when Sterling's there on form, and although it's not natural position, and that's what it comes down to. Those boys, as you say, that are hungry, want to play for the shirt, and that's when again it comes down to, for me, Raskin's attitude. The only thing that lets him down for me is his distribution. We know we've mentioned it in here before. His distribution is not the greatest. If it was, and he was injury free, it would be a very good midfield would have, and would have a lot of depth and options in there. But I just say he's now going to find a hard way getting back. But hopefully, as I said, fitness free, injury free, good fitness under pre-season, Clement maybe get something out of Raskin that we've not seen yet.
No. Jim, you got anything to add on the kind of Raskin point? I think the boy's got something about him. I just think, like I say, he's going to have to dare Sterling. I think he's going to have to try and show that he can be adaptable in the squad. Sterling again's shown that he can try and take on any task that the manager lays down to him, and maybe Raskin's just got to kind of show that at some point, that I says he's got to be a versatile player. I'm not saying put him on right wing, but I think, like I says, he's got to show that he's just more than a holding defensive midfielder.
Yeah, I mean, he's got bags of energy, hasn't he? Look, I know should be a minimum. He's a professional foot player midfield. He's got bags of energy. He's pretty good at intercepting. He's been good at reading in game. But like Robert said, there's just on too many occasions his distributions let him down, and it's been basic stuff as well at times. And it's looked like a weakness, which is obviously you can't have for a centre midfielder. And like you say, maybe if you're doing the comparison to Sterling about how to get yourself in the team, he's obviously not got the attribute of being a big, powerful lad. Obviously, I'm not saying he's weak, but he's small, isn't he? There's not many places you can fill in when you're that height. So the distribution has to be key, and it's maybe a flaw, but maybe as he gets comfortable, plays around a team that's playing better, because you've got to remember when he was a mainstay, he was in a team that wasn't doing very well. So maybe playing in a confident team, and a team when people are firing on all cylinders might help him. But yeah, it's a long road. I agree. He's not a natural starter at the moment, and it could be a pre-season and a long road for him to become a regular starter for us.
Robert, a player we didn't really touch on about the weekend, and that was Diamandi. Do you see him getting a nod in that, like say, this game tomorrow?
No, I've went with Dowell. Again, it seems to be that the trend is if they do an interview press conference, they're usually in the lineup. So I've went for him. I don't see him getting in ahead of Lundstrom. So it kind of fell to Diamandi, who the first half, along with a few other players, it passed by them. He off the pace quite a bit. But it has played a lot of football for us since he came in. And it just maybe would make sense that the game itself, the pitch, the games we've got coming up, maybe a game that we can just allow him to start on the bench and bring him on. For a Dowell, you're probably going to get maybe, say, 60 minutes of. So you get 60 minutes in Dowell, and you know you can get a good 30 minutes out of Diamandi. You're getting a good balance there. And I know we're talking about, do we risk players on the pitch for injury? If we don't do that, if we take the risk of injury and play players like McCausland, as you said earlier, we risk then having the team selection wrong and dropping points. And that's far bigger risk than a player who's getting injured. So it's that balance that Clement has to strike of who to play and how long for, and in the conditions it's going to present itself.
Well said, mate. Well said. As you've touched on, Dowell has done an interview today, so I think it would be good to hear his kind of perspective on things and how he felt about the weekend and stuff like that. So let's hear from Mr. Dowell himself.
You see the feeling is amongst the players after Sunday then?
Positive, yeah. Obviously going into half time 2-0 down wasn't ideal, but just said earlier, that it's the first time in God knows how long that we've come back from 2-0 down to get a point out of the game. So lots of positives to take, but a lot of stuff to learn as well.
What's to learn then?
You just got to, I guess it was a bit of a freak goal to start with, but just to know that you're always in the game, whether you're 2-0 down or whatever it is, just keep believing, which we showed after half time and got the point in the end.
How good was it to be back involved again?
Class, yeah. Great game to come back into. Yeah, really enjoyable. The atmosphere was unbelievable. Probably the loudest I've heard the stadium in my career. So yeah, it was a really good one to come back into.
How was your injury? How was your injury sustained, and how was the recovery?
I'd done it in La Manga in the winter break. A bit unfortunate, really, the way I went over. And then the recovery was pretty smooth. Went really well. And yeah, good to be back now.
Back in a good time of the season for the finale.
100%, yeah. Back now, so hopefully can contribute a bit more towards the end of the season.
How frustrating has that? Show that you're going to have to probably beat Celtic at Celtic Park.
What's that, sorry?
The record books show that you might have to beat Celtic at Celtic Park to win the league.
I guess, yeah, we want to win. We want to win every game. That's what we probably have to do to win the league. So that's the aim, 100%. Yeah.
Have you seen enough in the first 3 games this season against them to give you confidence you can do it?
Yeah.
How frustrating has the season been overall, injury-wise and form-wise? Just you've always kind of got going, and then it's been a bit kind of like a stop-start all round for you.
Yeah, personally, it has been frustrating in that sense. Had to stay positive a lot of the time. Obviously, the lads have done really well since I've my recent injury, so that's been good to be supporting them. And we're in a good place going towards the end of the season.
How have you kept yourself going mentally through that period? Has around the club you've spoken to, or guys out with football that you've spoken to?
No, just working hard in the gym, trying to become more powerful, I guess, more stronger. So there's been stuff to work on which can keep you sort of stimulated while you've been injured as well, yeah.
It may well be next season by the time the fans really see the best of you, but as Ronnie said, not also back at a really exciting time of the season.
Yeah, hopefully can show the best of me this season. Feel good, feel fit, so hopefully have a good end to the season, yeah.
You talk about it being frustrating, Kieran. Obviously it's not how you would envisioned your first season in terms of injuries, but I'm sure it'd make up for it if you can go and get those remaining 2 trophies on offer.
100%, yeah. When look back on my career and we've won this season, I don't think I'll be worried about being injured or how many games I played. It's about winning that matters, yeah.
How do you feel? Are you 100%, 80%? Whereabouts are you?
I'd say close to 100%, yeah. Obviously I haven't ticked off that 90-minute match, which is impossible to do in training and stuff like that, but no, I feel really good, yeah.
And in terms of the game tomorrow, obviously it's the opportunity to play that game in hand, go top of the league. What can that do for you and the boys psychologically if you do take top spot?
Yeah, it's, I guess, like I said earlier, we're just focusing on winning every game we can at the minute. So I think it's probably going to have to be close to that to win the league. So whether we go top or not, it's like it's a cliche, but it's game by game at the minute.
Do you think that would put you in the driving seat then if you win tomorrow night?
Like I say, you just looking game to game at the minute. You have to. It's just the way this league's on this season. We're probably going to have to get close to maximum points to win the league.
Have you had a look at this pitch up at Dens Park?
I've seen a couple pictures, yeah. Obviously the game we played back in November was postponed a touch as well. So yeah, but it's like I say, it's both same for both teams.
Have you played in? I'm sure over your career, Kieran, played in some bad pitches. It's just part and parcel of being a footballer.
Exactly. You just got to sort of adapt to it, and we're all good players. We like you say, we played on all different kinds of pitches, and you just got to accept it. Yeah.
Okay, guys. Last one.
Yeah. I'm just going to say, Kieran, when you've been out injured, does it for a long period? Does it make you even more determined to play your part and towards the end of the season, and given the nature of this season now as well?
Yeah, the way it's going, yeah. Obviously you don't realise how much you actually miss it when you are injured, so I'm chomping at the bit now to make an impression and have a good end to the season, yeah.
Yeah, well said, Jayama. He speaks well and he seems hungry for, like I says, to impress us as Rangers fans and stuff like that. And to be fair, like before his injury, he was showing signs of form. I mean, that Motherwell game last season, he scored a topper in that game, and from memory, he played well as well, and he's just been another player who's been hampered with injury. But hats off to the medical team; they have worked a wee bit of wonders, haven't they? They've brought back a fair amount of players for this kind of title run now.
Yeah, no, 100%. He speaks well on that, and he says, it sounds like, and it didn't sound like he got a bad bit of luck, went over on it, but I know people may be starting to think he was, if we signed another one made of glass because of what he'd had before, and his injury record before at Norwich wasn't the best, but he says the recovery was smooth, and that's a good thing, so hopefully he's good to go. And yeah, obviously, I think it's hard to make any sort of decision on it. We haven't had the chance to see him play yet, but he's shown glimpses that he can definitely handle the ball. He's definitely, a tidy enough footballer. You don't play at the clubs you played at without being good. So, no, hopefully it's someone else who can contribute in the running.
Robert, do you see him kind of the kind of Diamande position, or do you see him fighting for both the kind of Diamande and the defensive midfielder position in the team?
When I first saw him, he kind of struck me as a box-to-box midfielder, but given the fact he didn't chase back Bill Bernardo at the weekend, I'd probably say he's more attacking-minded than defensive. That's not to say that he can work on his defensive game. There's just something about him that there's a drive in him that I like when he gets the ball, and from what we've seen, he goes forward. So I still think a box-to-box, just with a wee bit of touching up on his defensive work, and he could probably do the Diamande of being on the edge of the box for shots, but also just cutting passing lanes and keeping it simple. That's what he does. He's not a flair, glamorous player. It's neat, tidy, and it's just simple. And that's sometimes what you need in the midfield, especially when you're trying to get control of the game.
Any player that's going to come in and help us, like in this title run, is welcomed. You know what I mean? But I think the Dow side of things, again, he's another player like Lawrence that's got a shot on him from outside the box, and it's something that we're kind of lacking. I think it'll be hard for him to kind of push Diamande out his position now, because the manager does seem to rate Diamande. And to be fair, the boy's not done much wrong apart for the kind of weekend. I would say that's probably his poorest game at the weekend, Diamande. So it'll be interesting, this kind of fighting for positions. I mean, because again, I kind of see Dow being a boy who just wants to even warm a bench at times. He'll be wanting to be involved in that squad, that starting 11.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it'd be interesting to see. We'll see how much the manager does think how well Diamande has been playing. Because obviously, he scored a couple of goals at the start of it since then, but I wouldn't say there's been a lot of competition for the place either, as this with injuries. He's kind of been playing there by default, and maybe playing slightly out a bit, a bit deeper at times, maybe not suited him. So I think in an ideal world, Diamande wouldn't be playing the amount of football he's played so quickly. So it'd be interesting to see, Clement takes him out the fire maybe for the next game. But there's many of these players we can have fit the better, isn't it, going into the running? I like that reporter though, wouldn't you? You wouldn't make it, you wouldn't have thought if we won our game in hand we were the ones top of the league, would you? It's their responsibility. I know we have to win all our games, but it's their responsibility to beat us at the moment.
Jay, I was actually going to touch on it because he's very brash with him, isn't he? He's like, you do understand that you probably need to beat Celtic. Well, technically, mate, no. As long as we win all our games and we draw at Celtic Park, then we still win the title. So I was a bit miffed with him and all, that reporter.
Yeah, obviously, I get, obviously, like he answered it right. Obviously, you want to win every game, and I hope we win every game. But I didn't get the exact line of questioning. We definitely, we can all count. We definitely don't need to win the game there.
No, Robert. Again, if we win tomorrow, again, massive game tomorrow. We win tomorrow, we're 2 points in front, and then from there on in, as long as we don't lose any games, we're champions. Obviously, we can only afford to technically draw one game, but apart from that, as long as we win all our games and we go to Celtic Park, and I know firm's a game that you can't play for a draw. When you look at that at the weekend, we want to predict a draw, but end of the day, if we're sitting there with a couple of minutes to go at Parkhead and it's 0-0, then again we park the bus up. We see that result out and we get that draw. It says we just march on to the title after that.
Exactly, and it sounds simple as that. Win the games and we're champions, that's it. It sounds so simple, but we just know that football's a funny game, and everybody's talking that we need to go and beat Celtic at Parkhead because we're all assuming that we're going to win our games, and so are they. They could drop points, and one slip up from them puts us even further in the driving seat. So a lot of focus will be on the Old Firm game because that's where it could be won or lost. There's other games and other teams that you don't want to take your focus off, and that's for us as well as it is for across the city. So there's still a lot of football, and anything can happen in a tight running. We've seen it happen before in this position. So win the games, focus on ourselves, and it is the old cliche, game by game. Get tomorrow done, get the game on, get the 3 points down the road, and focus on to Ross County the weekend. And then you're into the split. And that's where it goes cup final every single week.
Robert's fair in what he's saying. There's not going to be any easy games. I mean, especially tomorrow. Again, like I said, we've got to be dealing with probably conditions. We've got to be dealing with rain. We've got to be dealing with park. We've got to be dealing with a Dundee side that is well up for the game. Again, like I said to you, they're well organised with their set pieces and stuff like that. We just need to go up there and do the business, and it's full focus for the team. It's everybody contributing, and like I says, hopefully our class prevails.
Yep, just being composed, not panicking. Obviously, fans and players, as fans haven't had a run in for God knows how long, but more importantly, the players, so we get the result. Just showing a bit of composure, a bit of class, but most importantly, getting the result and not messing about, being as efficient as possible in these last few games.
Robert, as Bridgeman says, it's the biggest game of the season, isn't it? And like I says, the weekend counts for nothing if we don't go up there and get the result. It's like I says, it's going to be a tall ask, but again, as long as we, like I says, set up properly, go in with the right attitude, then I can only see one winner. And to be fair, it was a good hunting ground the last time we were up there.
It was it 5-0 and Sam Lammer scored an absolute belter as well, if I remember right as well. Where's he? Get him back. No, you're right, mate. It is, and the Bridge always says it, but more so, he's 100% spot on at this point in the season. It is the biggest game until your next one, but you can't look at your next one. The one that you focus on is the one in front of you right now, and hopefully, as I said, the game goes on tomorrow night, because the last thing we want to be doing is sitting with a game in hand for any longer than we need to, because then you're into a fixture pile up at cup semi-finals, split games, and that's when it becomes a lot tougher on the players mentally, as well as the blood pressure for us.
So true. JM, just we're running the last couple of minutes. Your score prediction for tomorrow, mate?
2-0 Rangers.
And I'm probably putting you on the spot again, but who's got to be your scorers?
Scorer, big Dessa's double. There you go.
Yeah, it could be. He'll love getting involved in a game like that tomorrow, I think. Robert, your score predictions tomorrow, mate, and scorers?
3-0, Dessers double, Seema.
Like it, mate. Like it. I'm going to be a wee bit more cautious and go with a Bridgeman. I'll go for the 1-0 and it'll be Dessers.
Going to be a tough watch tomorrow night.
It is. I've got it in my head that I think this is just with the weather and the park. I've seen the park at the weekend there, and that ball is just no running true. I mean, it's like
here we go. Then I'll ask you a question. Is there going to be a game tomorrow night?
Oh, that's a good question.
Is that a time of show already? Jeez, later.
I'll go quickly. Yes, there will be a game tomorrow.
Yes.
Robert? JM?
No.
Okay. Right, 2 years. Final thoughts quickly. JM, yourself, mate.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Good. Great to have Tam on. It always makes it better when we've got callers on. They always give far better opinions than us. It makes it go quicker. It's better for them to listen, so it'd be good to have more. But enjoyed it, and hopefully there is a game tomorrow, and hopefully we're talking about another Rangers win.
Brilliant, mate. Robert, mate, your final thoughts, bud?
Yeah, good feedback on me. Your pair to yourselves. A good show, good points by Tam. As I said, hopefully the game gets played tomorrow and we sit top of the table, and then that's it. There on in.
That's it. Get the alarm set 11 a.m. tomorrow. Pitch inspection supposedly, so we'll soon know what our league runners are going to be doing tomorrow. So let's see some authority tomorrow, depending on what's happening with this pitch. Big thanks to Tam for phoning in. Great points for him, and like I said, it's a great contribution for him. Thanks to you two boys tonight. Again, great points, and this is great contribution as well. This is helping us get the show on the air. Big thanks to Fox and Old School Blue in the background, and a big thanks to the Ox for taking the calls tonight. This has been Rangers Radio. We'll be back tomorrow night talking about all things Glasgow Rangers. Good night.